Sophia Gurman 61, Peter Mager 61. So these were the victims. It's so sad. So what has been very frustrating for me, and I know a lot of anti-Zionists are feeling the same way, is how Benjamin Netanyahu just could not help himself. And he had to fucking pounce. Meanwhile, there's a mass shooter that did an anti-Semitic attack, and this is what Netanyahu decides to say. And this just boils my blood. It really does.
On August 17th, about 4 months ago, I sent Prime Minister Albanese of Australia a letter in which I gave him warning that the Australian government's policy was promoting and encouraging anti-Semitism in Australia. I wrote, "Your call for a Palestinian state pours fuel on the anti-Semitic fire."
It's like, you can't say that. He's literally saying, because you support Palestine, this is what happens. Like, that's insane.
It rewards
I am okay. I hope you're doing well.
Hamas terrorism. It emboldens those who menace Australian Jews and encourages the Jew hatred now stalking your streets. Anti-Semitism is a cancer. It spreads when leaders stay silent. It retreats when leaders act. I call upon you to replace weakness with action, appeasement with resolve. Instead, Prime Minister, you replaced weakness with weakness and appeasement with more appeasement. Your government did nothing to stop the spread of anti-Semitism in Australia.
What are you talking about?
You did nothing to curb the cancer cells that were growing inside your country. You took no action. You let the disease spread. And the result is the horrific attacks on Jews we saw today. We saw an action of a brave man, turns out a Muslim brave man, and I salute him, that stopped.
So what's kind of funny, and I'm going to show the video, but before people knew that he was Muslim, everyone was like, oh my God, this is a hero. The moment the right found out that he was Muslim, they deleted their praise for him, especially Laura Loomer.
One of these terrorists from killing
she was not happy.
Innocent Jews. But it requires the action of your government, which you're not taking. And you have to, because history will not forgive hesitation and weakness. It will honor action and strength. That's what Israel expects of each of your governments in the West and elsewhere.
That sounds like a threat. Like, Israel expects that. The government doesn't work for Israel unless you're the United States. But the government's for protecting their own constituents. For him to say Israel expects that sounds like a threat to me.
Because the disease spreads and it will consume you as well. But we are worrying right now about our people, our safety, and we do not remain silent. We fight those who try to annihilate us. They're not only trying to annihilate us, they attack us because they attack the West. In Syria, we saw,
which they are still bombing.
Yesterday, 2 American soldiers killed.
They were National Guard soldiers. Why are National Guardsmen in Syria? That's very odd to me.
And 1 American interpreter killed as well. Killed because they represent our common culture. Now,
what?
As a result of this, Secretary of War Pete Hegseth said the following. He said, "Let it be known that if you target Americans anywhere in the world, you will spend the rest of your brief, anxious life knowing the United States will hunt you, find you, and ruthlessly kill you."
I bet you love that.
We send our condolences to the people of America. And I want to say that our policy...
He didn't even send condolences to Australians. Jewish Australians who died in an anti-Semitic attack. He didn't say shit about them. This is his very first speech after this mass shooting. And he didn't say shit about the Jewish community. This man is a warmonger.
Policy is exactly that policy. That's why those who target Israelis, target our soldiers, try to kill them or try to hurt them and wound them, as happened.
Did you notice that he said Israelis? He didn't say Jewish people. Normally he says Israelis and Jews. He didn't say that this time. He only said Israelis. The mask has slipped, but it's just gone now.
In Gaza yesterday, we take action. They will spend the rest of their brief action.
Why did he mention Gaza? Gaza was nowhere near this. It was Syria. He's just a money one. He's such a warmonger.
Anxious lives, knowing that Israel will hunt them, find them, and ruthlessly dispose of them. That is American policy. This is Israel's policy. It's our policy in Gaza, in Lebanon, anywhere around us. We do not sit by and let these killers kill us.
No, you just kill everyone without any sort of hold back, any sort of accountability. You just don't give a fuck. This is what this motherfucker said the first time of the mass shooting. I'm sorry, that's unacceptable.
On August 17th,
rabbis and a Holocaust survivor who died while shielding his wife from bullets. This is the Australian Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese.
What we saw yesterday was an act of pure evil, an act of anti-Semitism, an act of terrorism on our shores in an iconic Australian location, Bondi Beach, that is associated with joy, associated with families gathering, associated with celebrations. And it is forever tarnished by what has occurred last evening. This was an attack deliberately targeted at the Jewish community on the first day of Hanukkah, which of course should be a joyous celebration. And the Jewish community are hurting today. Today, all Australians wrap our arms around them and say, we stand with you. We will do whatever is necessary to stamp out anti-Semitism. It is a scourge and we will eradicate it together.
His speech was fucking better than the president of Israel. The prime minister of Israel. What are we doing?
Police say the massacre was carried out by a 50-year-old father and his 24-year-old son. The father, Sajid Akram, was shot dead by police. The son, Naveed Akram, was arrested after being tackled by a fruit vendor named Ahmed El Ahmed. Video shows Ahmed tackling the gunman, then grabbing his gun and pointing it at the gunman. Ahmed was hospitalized after suffering bullet wounds to his arm and hand. Ahmed is an Australian citizen who immigrated from Syria in 2006. His father spoke via translator to ABC, the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, earlier today.
He noticed one of the armed men at a distance, from him hiding behind a tree. My son is a hero. He served with the police and in the Central Security Forces, and he has the impulse to protect people. When he saw people lying on the ground and the blood everywhere, immediately his conscience and his soul compelled him to pounce on one of the terrorists and to rid him of his weapon. At the same moment, the armed man's other friend was on the bridge, or whoever he is. I feel pride and honor because my son is a hero of Australia.
Ahmed El Ahmed is being widely hailed as a hero who saved many lives. Residents of Sydney praised his actions.
You'd like to hope that you would react the same way if you had the chance. I don't know if I'm as strong as he is. He was incredibly strong and very brave and managed to take the gun off the guy, which is incredible.
Yeah, I think he's a national hero for sure. Probably an international hero. A lot of people around the world wouldn't have done that. A lot of people would have run away from the gunfire. He ran towards it, so fair play to him. probably saved a lot of lives.
We go now to Sydney, Australia, where we're joined by Anthony Lowenstein, an Australian-German independent journalist based in Sydney, a member of the Advisory Committee of the Jewish Council of Australia, and author of the best-selling book, The Palestine Laboratory: How Israel Exports the Technology of Occupation Around the World. Anthony is the subject of the 2024 documentary film Not in My Name, which was broadcast on Australia's ABC TV and Al Jazeera English. The documentary focuses on Jewish descent and Anthony's critical journalism on Israel-Palestine. Anthony, first of all, condolences on what has taken place on Bondi Beach in Sydney. Can you take us through what happened?
Thank you for having me, Amy, and thank you for those condolences. Look, I was not in Bondi myself. I was about half an hour away last night. I was celebrating Hanukkah at my home with my family. I'm not religious, but it's become, I guess, almost a cultural annual celebration with my family. There were two gunmen. I found out very quickly what was going on. It wasn't obviously entirely clear initially the extent of the carnage. We now know some more details. There's so much we still don't know about this horrific attack. It was clearly directed at the Jewish community. There was a public Hanukkah event on Bondi. For those who don't know, a lot of people know Bondi. It's an internationally famous beach. It's a very open place. There's lots of tourists, lots of Australians. It's obviously summer here, so it's obviously warm. And it was light, so it gets dark here quite late being summer. And it was a celebration. Now, this horrific attack was not just terrorism, but it was directed at a Jewish community that has been, frankly, split for the last years around Israel-Palestine, which I know we'll get to in a minute. Now, there's no indication yet why this attack happened.
Exactly. Like, we don't have no motive. We have nothing. Like, they haven't released any statements about what the son has said.
The motives, there's some evidence and indication that these two killers were associated with ISIS or certainly radical Islamists. They travelled to the Philippines recently to potentially associate with some kind of Islamist groups. It's not 100% confirmed yet. But in short, I'm feeling sad and anger, actually, a lot of anger, because it's already being weaponized by the worst people imaginable to support incredibly draconian policies.
I wanted to turn to the Israeli Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu. He was speaking in Dimona on Sunday, accusing the Australian government of promoting anti-Semitism.
On August 17th, about 4 months ago, I sent Prime Minister Albanese of Australia a letter in which I gave him warning that the Australian government's policy was promoting and encouraging anti-Semitism in Australia. I wrote, "Your call for a Palestinian state pours fuel on the anti-Semitic fire. It rewards Hamas terrorism. It emboldens those who menace Australian Jews and encourages the Jew hatred now stalking your streets."
So that's the Israeli Prime Minister weighing in. Anthony Lowenstein, if you can respond and talk about the position of the Australian government. Albanese certainly came out quickly.
I mean, what a disgraceful human being. I'm talking about Netanyahu there. You know, within a few hours of this attack last night, Amy, a number of Israeli government ministers, Netanyahu, the foreign minister there, the minister for diaspora affairs, and many others, essentially wrote posts on social media suggesting that the Australian government recognised Palestine a few months ago, which is true, that somehow that was causing the terrorist attack, the fact that Australia has allowed, so the argument goes, pro-Palestine protests. This kind of connection is absolutely disgraceful. The idea that the Israeli government, a government that has overseen a genocide and mass slaughter for over 2 years in Gaza, is the moral arbiter of anything is farcical. And what's so worrying is that so much of the Australian media, many in the, I'd say, more pro-Israel Jewish community, somehow looks to Israel, Netanyahu, as a moral guide. The Australian government is, generally speaking, pretty pro-Israel. I've been doing a lot of reporting on this. a lot of weapons parts to the F-35 fighter jet that Israel's been using over Gaza. This idea somehow that the Australian government's anti-Israel is absurd. And we live in a very flawed democracy, but a democracy where people are allowed to peacefully protest. And there's been huge amounts of protests by Jews and Christians and Muslims and others, like in most Western countries in the last 2+ years. So to have the Israeli government, an utterly morally moribund government, talk about accountability is really the height of chutzpah, and that's being polite.
Anthony Lowenstein.
It's gross. Also, it's so dangerous. It's so dangerous.
Talk about the Jewish Council of Australia that you are a member of.
The Jewish Council founded after October 7, and it's basically made up of progressive Jews, young and old, who did not feel represented by the so-called mainstream Jewish organisations here. It's sort of similar in a way to what you've seen in the US over the last years, and really before October 7, which has been almost a civil war of sorts within the Jewish community between a very, I would say, hardline, pro-occupation, pro-Israeli government, certainly pro-Gaza war, and many other young Jews, increasingly young Jews, who feel so disillusioned and disgusted by that blind support. So the Jewish Council was founded, and it's really become a vital alternative voice to represent Jews and others, but principally Jews, who don't share those politics, that regard the blind support that many in the pro-Israel community advocate towards the Israeli government is not just unhealthy, but endangering all of us. Now, we don't know, obviously, enough details about last night's horrific attack, but it's clear that, and I've thought this and said this for years, Amy, that what the Israeli government is doing in Palestine, Gaza, the West Bank and beyond, endangers everybody.
Exactly. When you combined Israel, that is committing a genocide, with Judaism, people are not especially like Nazis. Nick Fuentes is all over this. This is so dangerous. You cannot conflate the two. And I get into arguments with people all the fucking time because they're like, oh, especially like when this happened, Fetterman came out and was like, this is why we need to protect Israel at all costs. And it's like, what? There's no fucking connection between an ethno-apartheid state and Jews who are trying to celebrate Hanukkah in Australia. Like, no connection. It's very frustrating that people are doing it. And it's honestly causing a rise in anti-Semitism. It is anti-Semitic what they are doing.
Jews particularly, but others as well, that nothing justifies anti-Semitic attacks or violence. Nothing does, including last night. But the idea somehow that a Jewish state created under the guise of protecting Jews actually now creates massive danger for Jews around the world is, to me, undeniable. It's more unsafe. It's more unsafe to be a Jew in Israel than arguably anywhere else in the world. Now, I'm not denying at all anti-Semitism. It's real, as in real anti-Semitism, attacks against Jews or synagogues, or last night's attack in Bondi, and it's increasing and worsening in vast parts of the world, and it worries me deeply as a human and a Jew. But we cannot disregard the fact that Israeli government actions play a part in that, and too often, sadly, those voices are ignored in the community here, so therefore the Jewish Council was vital.
Anthony, can you talk about the bystander? I think he was a fruit vendor, Ahmed Al-Ahmed, and how he stopped what could have been a far deadlier attack. I mean, his bravery was just astounding.
Amazing. A lot of people may have seen this footage on social media, and I'd encourage them to see it if they haven't. Is that he essentially went towards one of the gunmen to try to disarm him, I guess. He apparently is an Australian citizen. He comes from Syria, was born in Syria. He essentially fought the gunman relatively quickly, got the gun off him, then pointed the gun at the gunman, did not shoot, and then put the gun down, almost putting his hands up to suggest that he was not a threat himself. there's no doubt he saved huge amounts of lives. And what's been so, heartening when there has been so much growing, and this again was happening long before last night's attack, Amy, shamefully, like it is in many Western countries, growing anti-Islam sentiment, growing anti-immigration sentiment, anti-Muslim sentiment, to have a Muslim man stand up and be brave. Now, I know that that's what a lot of humans would do, but to see a Muslim do that and to be recognised for that, I think is important. To realise that Muslims are a major part of Australian society. We're 27 million population here. It's a relatively small country, the same size as the US geographically, but a very small population. There's about 800,000 Muslims and about 120,000 Jews. And there's been a number of Palestinians from Gaza who have been brought to Australia since October 7, around 3,000. And there's been growing calls by the Murdoch press and others to not allow these people in. Some of these people are my friends from Gaza. They're remarkable people. They're no threat to anybody. So to have a Muslim man, this incredible gentleman who basically fought against this horrific terrorist, it really is inspiring, and I think shows the world that any community is made up of a diversity, and that includes Muslim, Jews, atheists, whoever it may be.
He saved so many people's lives. Like, it's truly incredible.
I wanted to end by talking about the this deadliest attack since Australia's 1996 Port Arthur massacre, when a gunman opened fire in the Tasmanian tourist village of Port Arthur, killing 35 men, women, and children, injuring 23 more. After the shooting, Australia moved to overhaul its gun laws. I mean, it was some of the most liberal gun laws in the world, a country of Crocodile Dundees. But then, within a number of days, outlawing automatic and semi-automatic rifles. About a decade ago, I spoke to Rebecca Peters, who led the...
What is happening? What is happening right now?
Led the movement to change the gun laws.
So the principal change was that the ban on semi-automatic weapons, rifles and shotguns, assault weapons, and that was accompanied by a huge buyback. And in the initial buyback of those weapons, almost 700,000 guns were collected and destroyed. There were several further iterations over the years, and now almost over a million guns have been collected and destroyed in Australia. But also, the thing is that sometimes countries will make a little tweak in their laws, but if you...
I wonder if we did if we would ever do a buyback for automatic weapons, how many guns do you think that they would have to collect and destroy? Like, honestly, I would wonder how many.
You have to take a comprehensive approach. It doesn't, if you just ban one type of weapon or if you just ban one category of person, if you don't do something about the overall supply, then basically it's very unlikely that your gun laws will succeed. So this was a comprehensive reform related to the importation, the sale, the possession, the conditions in which people could have guns, storage, all that kind of thing, the situations in which guns could be withdrawn.
If you can respond to Rebecca Peters and talk about what happened in Australia, how it changed, and what does this mean for Australia now, Anthony?
There's no doubt after that Port Arthur massacre, that horrific attack, as you said, Amy, just in 1996, there was radical change on gun laws pushed by then Conservative Prime Minister John Howard, and that was enacted relatively quickly. There was some pushback, but in general, the vast majority of Australians supported it. Now, before this Bondi attack last night, there's been some reporting in the last few years that some of the restrictions that were put in place are being loosened, that they're being not properly enforced. There's been a proliferation of guns. Now, whether they had any connection to last night's attack, we don't know yet. But it's worth saying that today, less than one day after the attack, Anthony Albanese, the Prime Minister, spoke to all the states and has already proposed some pretty strong and necessary gun reforms. Now, there are voices, as there always are, against that, but it's nothing like what you see in the US. To even push through any serious or decent gun reform laws seem close to impossible in the US, even under a Democratic president often. So I think there's a very, very good chance that you'll see some shifts here in Australia in the coming months, backed by the vast majority of Australians. Now, Australians, understandably, and as I am, are shocked by this case of mass violence. Australia has a long history of colonial violence and violence against minorities and continues to have violence against Indigenous populations. But the sign of mass violence, this kind of attack last night, is almost unheard of in Australia, as you said, for decades. And I think that'll push huge amounts of Australians to support necessary gun laws. Now, the idea, I think, of Australia becoming, sadly, alongside other nations that have seen this kind of mass killing violence is shameful. It's shameful for me as an Australian, and it's shameful that this sort of thing could happen in the first place, such is why you need effective gun laws now. There's no other option.
Anthony Lowenstein, I want to thank you for being with us.
So, I also want to show another really, I think, important clip of Cam Caskey. And he was, I think it's funny because, let's just say Jake Tapper was not prepared for this answer.
I want to talk about another response from this administration to the shooting at Brown University, Laura Loomer's response. Because Laura Loomer's response to the shooting at Brown was to scapegoat Muslims and blame it on, quote, jihadi cockroaches infesting our country. This is someone with strong influence at
I fucking hate her.
the White House, and this is a Jewish person. Well, you know who saved Jewish lives this weekend was a Muslim refugee in Australia named Ahmed. Ahmed was a good guy.
I'm sorry. Look at Jake Tapper's face. He looks like he swallowed some Pepto-Bismol.
Without a gun. He was an unarmed man who put his life on the line to stop an anti-Semitic terror attack. He was practicing ithar, which is the Islamic principle of selflessness and sacrifice. And these are values shared by Judaism and Islam. Quran 5:32, whoever saves one life, it is as if we had saved all of humanity. And what this administration wants to do is turn us against each other, divide us by race, by gender identity, by religion, to make sure we are not focused on the people at the top who are profiting off of this violence.
Love Cam. I really like how he does.
I want to talk about another response.
I think he's doing, I really like the work he's doing. Let's see how Jonathan Greenblatt, the man that works the hardest against anti-Semitism. Let's see. Jonathan Greenblatt. Okay. I don't know why
all right, the Bondi Massacre is just...
They keep inviting this motherfucker on.
The latest in a series of anti-Semitic incidents that have increased threefold in Australia since late 2023. At the same time, the Anti-Defamation League reports the highest number of attacks.
Okay, let's be real. The Anti-Defamation League is a fucking joke. They include protests as this, okay? They include pro-Palestine protests. So this is they have completely disgraced themselves.
Attacks against Jews in the U.S. took place last year, the most since the ADL began tracking incidents in 1979.
Let's bring in the CEO.
But they haven't said fucking shit about all of the Islamophobia, hasn't said shit about all of the racism against Black people or Latinos, no, and nothing against the LGBTQ plus community, nothing, nope. It's ridiculous. It's fucking insane.
CEO of the Anti-Defamation League, Jonathan Greenblatt. Jonathan, we've talked about anti-Semitism.
Oh my God, he's still wearing his fucking pin, even though all the hostages are free.
On the far right, on the far left, we see it every day, but now...
Bitch, there's... What anti-Semitism have you seen on the far left? Please explain that to me. What anti-Semitism have you seen on the far left? Being pro-Palestinian, being anti-Israel is not anti-Semitic. So what anti-Semitism have you seen from the far left?
The specter of ISIS reemerging. Tell me, what threat does...
What does ISIS have anything to do with him? I don't understand that question, that part.
That pose, especially to Jews across America and the world?
Yeah, I think Jews across America, across the world, Joe, are feeling sad. And we're not shocked, we're not surprised. Sort of anti-Semitism is core to Islamist extremism, right? ISIS, Hamas.
Oh my God, the fucking racism. No. Let's be very fucking clear. We have absolutely no idea what happened. What was the motive of the Bondi mass shooter, him and his father? We don't fucking know. They haven't said anything. But for him to immediately say, it's Islam extremism, it's ISIS, it's Hamas. Like, fuck off. We don't, like, you have fucking Nazis in the White House. You have fucking Nazis eating dinner with Trump that are saying that Hitler is good. But no. Let's just focus on being racist.
Muslim Brotherhood, Hezbollah, they all see not just Israelis, but Jews as their enemy. And they're...
Where is Hezbollah coming into this? What is going on?
Committed to killing them wherever they can.
This is not fucking true. Meanwhile, we have literal Congress people calling for full denaturalizations of Muslim people. No one's calling any denaturalization for Jewish people. Like, what are we fucking doing? This is absurd.
And look, as you said in the lead-in here, Mika, this is on the heels of a series of anti-Semitic incidents in America just in the last few days. We had a drive-by shooting in Redlands, California, a Jewish home decked out with Hanukkah decorations, a hail of 20-some-odd bullets, and people captured on the Ring camera screaming anti-Semitic epithets. We had an assault against a Chabad young...
I did not hear about this, so I don't know what he's talking about.
Man from Chabad last night on the subway here in Manhattan. We had a near riot in Amsterdam at another menorah lighting. I mean, Jewish people are feeling under siege right now for good reason.
Okay, but like, so is every... Can we just focus on the victims and the survivors of the mass shooting? I really don't like when they do this, because you are seeing such a fucking rise in Islamophobia. You are seeing such a rise in racism towards Black and brown people, specifically Latinos. Like, I'm sorry, but you can't just say we're just seeing a rise in Jewish people. Jewish people are scared. Yeah, so are Muslim people. So are Latinos. Like, what? Like, do we not have a say? I just don't understand why. I just don't understand. And it's very frustrating and it's very dangerous, because people are going to be like, wait, so the government only cares about them? They don't care about us? That radicalizes people. That ideology radicalizes people. That's why I've been yelling at Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries for refusing to do fucking anything about the Islamophobia and the racism that's happening throughout Congress. They even did fucking shit. But if you don't stand up to all bigotry, if you do not fight all bigotry, things like this stand out to the people that other minority groups that are currently being targeted. The Muslim community, the Latino community. It's very blatant and it's very dangerous.
And look, I am so grateful that we're here talking about this on your show, because not enough...
Stop having him on.
...attention is being focused on this.
Bitch, all we fucking do is talk about this. What are we talking about?
Ongoing calamity, but that's how Jews are feeling right now around the world.
That's very frustrating for me to hear. I think that anti-Semitism, there is a rise. I think that what is happening due to Israel's actions, let me emphasize, is causing a dangerous target on Jewish people's backs. But it's also very disheartening and a slap in the fucking face to people who are also being attacked and not being defended, not having someone talk about their issues. No one, like, the president of the United States literally called Somali people trash. Like, what are we doing? That is pretty fucking important. And yet, the amount of pushback, the amount of kind of focus is not there. And people are starting to recognize it, and it's dangerous, and they need to stop. So for this fucker who is so fucking racist to say, y'all haven't focused enough about anti-Semitism, get the fuck out of my face. It's just fucking annoying.
In our newsletter yesterday, Johanna Lowen wrote about Hanukkah and this tragedy happening in Hanukkah. And she
Finally, this is what you should talk about. The fact that it was on the 1st of Hanukkah. Hanukkah is the celebration of light. Like, this is what you should talk about, not Jonathan fucking Greenblatt.
He started with a quote from Ecclesiastes 1:9. What has been will be again. What has been done will be done again. There is nothing new under the sun. And a picture of menorah. I know you've seen it.
Yeah.
With across the street in 1931 from the opening Nazi headquarters. And she talks about just how this has continued to happen.
Yeah, I mean, look.
Shocked but not surprised, and especially coming at this time, lighting candles,
raising children.
Raising children, and she talks about raising her children, and
yeah.
They should have just started off with that. That makes more sense than this fucker.
In this environment.
Being Jewish shouldn't put a target on your back.
Right.
Lighting a menorah shouldn't be some kind of active defiance.
I agree. But by conflating being anti-Israel, you are literally, you specifically, are putting a target on Jewish people's back.
But unfortunately, that's what it is. And look, a few months ago, Yom Kippur holiday, Jewish people were killed at a synagogue in Manchester, England. Of course, October the 7th was the last day of Sukkot and the holiday of Simchas Torah in Israel. So again, Jews should be able to worship and celebrate and pray like anybody else without fear of being maimed or killed on our holiest days.
What's your sense, Jonathan, just in the last few years over why anti-Semites seem to feel like they can act with impunity, to do the things in such public ways? I'm not talking about this massacre. I'm talking about the incidents you just...
What is this bullshit? What are we fucking doing? Focus on the mass shooting. What are we doing?
Describe, whether it's attacking a menorah, attacking a celebration, hurling epithets on a subway in front of, in public view. Why does there seem to be a growing comfort level with...
Okay, but I'm sorry, I'm gonna push back on this. You see the president of the fucking United States calling Somali people that are American citizens trash and don't do fucking anything about it. Don't push back like this. You have ICE get $104 billion to run after abuelas and abuelos because they're not documented. It's just it's very frustrating when MSNOW does this bullshit.
Open anti-Semitism among people who perpetrate it.
Look, we've seen the conversation course, and we know that, right? So again, it started in the 2015-16 campaign with candidate Trump, and we've seen a deterioration now on both sides of the political aisle. There's no more shame. Social media has
That's very interesting that he called out Trump. I was not expecting that.
Made this even worse. Places like X are a cesspool where the worst instincts, our basest...
I mean, I could not agree more on that one. Maybe this might be the only thing I agree with this fucker on. It is. It's filled with Nazis.
Impulses actually get reinforced and drive clicks. So that helps to create and condition the public to think, hey, it's okay to attack people because they're Jewish, to demonize people because they look different.
So, Jonathan, is it too much to say that this is a growing epidemic without a vaccine?
What?
Yeah, look, it's interesting, right? There is no sort of cure, I think, no vaccine, no way we can inoculate ourselves from intolerance. It requires relentless attention. It requires education. It requires engagement. And our leaders need to lead. Again, you're doing it on the show by talking about it.
Right.
We need more people to lead and to say, by the way, on the left, they need to call it on the left like John Fetterman is doing.
Right.
On the right, people need to call it out like Ted Cruz is doing and to say it's not okay.
Two of the largest Israel diehards is the people you just named.
So here's what's most disturbing about this, though. There's a generational divide.
Yeah.
And this is not just about supporting Israel.
Yeah.
As you know, I mean, I have a lot of problems with what Benjamin Netanyahu has done. This is not about that.
Yes,
this is
it
about
actually is.
hatred for Jews. And for some reason, on the far left among younger Americans and on the far right among younger Americans, there is open hate for Jews. Some of the most conservative people I know are putting the siren on top of their car and saying, hey, you know, we conservatives have a problem with anti-Semitism among the young here.
Right.
We've got to do something about it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. What? What are we, what?
And so again, that's right and left.
Look, I think we've got to credit people like Erica Kirk, who called it out on that CBS public town hall just the other day. We need more people in the conservative movement to do exactly what you're saying. It's starting to happen, and that's a good thing. Because when the Heritage Foundation sort of launders Tucker Carlson, all of us lose, right? The American public loses when this kind of hatred of a small minority becomes normalized and becomes like political props. It's really unconscionable.
And when it happens,
But you're using Judaism as a political prop yourself, Jonathan Greenblatt. Like, you literally are using... You're using the horrific attacks on October 7th to justify the genocide that's been happening for 2 years. And people protesting a genocide you're calling anti-Semitic. Like, it can't be the two. Like, come on.
happens on college campuses on the far left.
100%. You need the same relentless attention. Being bigoted against people because they pray differently or worship differently, wrong. And again, holding all Jews responsible for policies you don't like of the Jewish state, wrong. Just like you can't hold Chinese.
What are you talking about? Netanyahu doesn't give a flying fuck what they think.
These Americans responsible for what Beijing is doing. Right. Why is it okay when it's Jews? It's not. It needs to be called out consistently.
CEO of the
Look at this. I wonder what the comment says. Interesting how easily the media says the Bondi massacre, but never utters such a word for the Palestinians, let alone say the word in. This is what I'm talking about. You should be talking about the Bondi massacre. This is exactly what I'm talking about. Oh my God. What a shame they don't have the same empathy for the people of Gaza and the West Bank. Greenblatt is just nauseating. The true definition of hypocrisy. Under siege, Palestinians are... This is exactly what I'm talking about. Palestinians are under siege. Israel has made people of Jewish faith less safe globally. Genocide has consequences. Exactly. Racism and hate are the two pillars of conservative ideology. That's why we need laws against them. I wonder how the children of Gaza feel. When are you going to turn loose the terrorist the former cognitive guy brought into America? Democrats immediately sided with the terrorists. This is really, oh my God, this is so fucking dangerous. And then today, this is what the Prime Minister of Israel said, which in my opinion sounds, this sounds like a threat. He says, I demand that Western governments do what is necessary to fight anti-Semitism and provide the required safety and security for Jewish communities worldwide. They would be well advised to heed our warnings. I demand action from them now. I'm sorry, who the fuck are you? You've gotten away with a fucking genocide for 2 fucking years. It's just like, who the fuck are you talking to? That's absurd. Fucking absurd. But, like, this is the thing. People have, like, this segment was fucking bullshit. Because instead of talking about gun control, which is what this whole fucking segment should have been about, they bring on this fucker who literally has caused more harm to the Jewish community than people realize. It's just, I don't understand. I don't get it. It's so dangerous. And it's just like, the more that they do this, the dangerous it gets. It's just like, you cannot do this. I mean, they're not gonna listen, but like, it's just, it's not safe. But then this is exactly the type of response that I wish more people would have. She was at the massacre. And this is what she said.
The horror of anti-Semitism has been unleashed in Australia, and it hasn't been properly dealt with by authorities. And this is where we are now.
You know, I don't want to blame anyone tonight other than the people that perpetrated this horror on our community. Exactly. No one else is to blame. And I don't want to get into that tonight because we have a community that is in shock, that is grieving. You know, I'm in shock.
The horror of anti-Semitism has been...
Perfect example. She's like, what are we fucking doing? You blame the perpetrators. People just were shot. What are we doing? It's just, it's very frustrating. And what's even more frustrating about Jonathan Greenblatt is when he's saying, how can people say such terrible things about people who just want to do a religion, like practice their religion? You have Randy fucking Fine, a sitting congressperson, saying this: a Muslim immigrant burning Holocaust survivors alive in Colorado wasn't enough. A Muslim immigrant executing National Guardsmen in Washington wasn't enough. Muslim immigrants attacking and killing non-Muslims in Australia wasn't enough. 9/11 wasn't enough. October 7th wasn't enough. Now the FBI has announced they have arrested 5 Muslim terrorists who are planning Muslim terror attacks on New Year's Eve in Los Angeles and New Orleans. This has to stop. Diversity is not our strength. Diversity has become suicidal. It is time for a Muslim travel ban, radical deportations of all mainstream Muslim legal and illegal immigrants, and citizenship revocations wherever possible. Mainstream Muslims have declared war on us. The least we can do is kick them the hell out of America. That is the sitting congressperson of Florida saying this disgusting, vile hatred. But this is acceptable. This is acceptable. It's just like, I don't get it. It's so frustrating because it's like they're saying, why can't Jewish people practice Judaism? No one, exactly. No, I think that is fair. But you also cannot be attacking Muslim people and Islamic people for practicing what they want to fucking practice and being racist. Like, it's just racism. It's just pure racism. And honestly, shame on MSNBC for this bullshit. What they really should do is this should have been about gun control. That's what this should have been. It should have been a focus on the effects of gun control, the importance of gun control. That's what this fucking segment should have been about. Not Jonathan Greenblatt spewing Zionist talking points. I do not understand how this man gets away with fucking everything. It's very frustrating. And it's so dangerous. Like, it's just, like, we have normalized hatred in this fucking country. People hate immigrants. For what? Because they were born in another fucking country? Are you fucking kidding me? All of us are immigrants besides indigenous people and Native Americans. Y'all fuckers sound stupid. So that in and of itself is ridiculous. But the thing is, when you continue to attack multiple different minority groups and then say this minority group is special, that's fucking dangerous. And you're only doing it to protect an ethno-apartheid state. And everyone can see it. And that is not acceptable. That puts more Jewish people in danger. That does not help Jewish people. That hurts Jewish people. Here again, this motherfucker, Eric Adams, who is the current mayor of New York, may I add.
But it is. This was just not a random act of violence that took place. It was anti-Semitic and targeted Jewish people. And today I'm here to provide an update on the security measures around synagogues and menorah lighters across the city, particularly in the wake of the anti-Semitic terror attack in Sydney that killed over a dozen people and injured approximately 40 more. We are surging counterterrorism officers and critical response commands, and the police commissioner will go in details on what we're doing. And we did this periodically after the attacks on October 7th. But let me be clear, we are doing this out of an overabundance of caution. In Sydney, the police had what appears to be a slower response. I'm sure the investigation will determine what happened.
No, the NYPD is just the most well-paid force in the entire world, basically. Like, what are we doing?
But I do know this. Specialized units play a primary role and function to go and respond to terrorist attacks at this nature. It is ill-advised to talk about the dismantling of the SRG team.
This is the jab at Zohra Mamdani. Even though the SRG team literally brutalized pro-Palestinian college students who were protesting a genocide. And this was created under him and Tish. And what's very infuriating is they don't do anything but brutalize people. They're not needed.
The same team that went into 345 Park Avenue when we had now a lone gunman that took the lives of innocent New Yorkers. It took the courage of a civilian to take down one of the shooters. The country was lucky that the civilian was there. Public safety can't be luck. Specialized units like SRG are trained for these encounters. And this illustrates the necessity of the strategic response groups who are ready to respond to terror attacks on a mass scale. But this attack did not come out of nowhere. It came out as the consequences of Islamic extremists. And we have to be clear on that.
No, we don't, because we literally know nothing. We literally know nothing.
It's not an attack on our Muslim brothers and sisters who carry out their faith every day, but it's the hijacking of their religion by Islamic extremists. Words have meaning. Words have impact, and words have power. Everyone needs to understand that what words mean before they repeat them, before they shout them, before they defend them. That attack in Sydney is exactly what it means to globalize intifada. We saw the actual application.
Yet again, more dangerous fucking rhetoric. It's just like, I swear to God, these people are fucking insane.
Of the globalization of intifada.
He made sure he knew how to pronounce it then. I don't know if you've seen the clip of when he was like, intifada, intifada.
Sydney. Because the attacker knew who he was targeting, and he knew why.
Okay, but we don't know his fucking motive, and we don't know if he's a part of any group. How do you know he's Muslim? That's another thing.
It is the first night of Hanukkah, the festival of lights, where Jews are obligated to publicize the celebration of their faith. And among the murdered victims.
That's a weird phrase. They're obligated to tell. That's a weird phrase to describe this Hanukkah.
Of the attack were a rabbi who had ties to Crown Heights, as well as a Holocaust survivor. Let me say that again. A rabbi and a Holocaust survivor killed for being Jewish. Anti-Semitism has no place in our city, in our society, and in our world. And I will continue to fight for this community and all communities of
That's a fucking joke. You don't fight for shit.
Of this city, and for fellow brothers and sisters from the Jewish community. For the past 4 years, this administration has stood by the Jewish community, not just as the mayor, but as an ally, as a father, and as a human being. As human beings, we cannot just turn down the temperature of hate. That is not enough. We must shut it off completely. Here in New York City.
Okay, but like, that's literally unrealistic. You like literally will never be able to get rid of hate. That's unrealistic.
Must call out hate without fear and without apology, because we will not be silent in the face of bigotry, of hatred to any group. We're going to be defiant. We're going to be.
Meanwhile,
for what it
one
is.
of his own council people, Vicky Palladino, I don't know how to spell her fucking name, tweets this: "We're in the midst of a global jihad, the likes of which the world has never seen, and we cannot ignore it. We need to take very seriously the need to begin the expulsion of Muslims from Western nations, or at the very least, the severe sanction of them within Western borders. The administration needs to begin developing a formal legal framework for the denaturalization process and get it over with before we end up with another 9/11, or worse. Enough is enough." This is a sitting councilwoman in New York saying this, and has I was gonna say Trump. Has Eric Adams said anything? No. Also, the fuck, I don't understand why she has not been censured. It's just like, I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. I really do not understand. It's just, it's so heartbreaking, because the focus should be on the victims, the survivors, and gun control. That should be the focus. That should be the focus. But alas, it is not. I think that's all I want to cover. Okay. I'm like, I'm not hot. I'm hot. I'm not hot. Like, I can't fucking change my mind. One thing that also happened today was this.